Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagawatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1 and Text 2. Dharmaha Projita Kaitavo Atra Paramaha Nirmasarana Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Sivadham Tapatraya Unmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parai Ishvaraha Sadhyo Rudhi Avarudhyate Atra Prithibihi Shushrushbihi Takshana. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Please repeat. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Religion includes four primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation from material bondage. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Eating, sleeping, mating, fearing are the four principles of animal life. These are common both to animals and to human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stages of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over the material nature, or in other words, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. In the Vedas, the above mentioned four activities are prescribed in the regulated way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. They do not compete with the materialist because they are on the path back to Godhead, where his life is eternal and blissful. Such transcendentalists are non-envious and pure in heart. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wishers to everyone, and they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in the center. The contemporary socialist conception of the competition-less society is artificial because in the socialist state there is competition for the post of dictator. From the point of view of the Vedas or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are three paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Another involves worshipping different demigods from promotion to the planets of the demigods. And another involves realizing the absolute truth and his impersonal feature and becoming one with him. The impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature, and above this is the personal feature of the absolute truth or Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in his personal feature. It is higher than impersonal literatures and higher than the Jnana-kanda division of the Vedas. It is even higher than the Karma-kanda division and even higher than the Upasana-kanda division because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. In the Karma-kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification, and there is similar competition in the Jnana-kanda and Upasana-kanda. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all of these because it aims at the supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all categories. From Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all emanations are relative forms of energy. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time the energies are different from the substance. This conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates this simultaneously one and different philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra, which begins with the Janmadi Asya Sutra. This knowledge that the energy of the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord is an answer to the mental speculator's attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conceptions of monism and dualism to be imperfect. The development of this transcendental consciousness, grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different, leads one immediately to the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are 1. Those miseries which arise from the mind and the body. 2. Those miseries inflicted by other living beings. And 3. Those miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the absolute person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the absolute and at the same time is an eternal servant of the absolute truth. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the lord of all his surveys and therefore is always troubled by the threefold miseries. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries. As long as the living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant of the Supreme. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is a personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narada Muni. Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question as to his authority. He is the author of all other Vedic literatures, yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods, but in the Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is the total body and the demigods are the different parts of that body. Consequently, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one does not need to worship the demigods. The Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as a spotless Purana and distinguishes it from the other Puranas. The proper method for receiving this transcendental knowledge is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is Shushrushu. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear idle social and political conversation, but when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant. Sometimes, professional readers of the Bhagavatam immediately plunge into the confidential topics of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which they seemingly interpret as sex literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Those who are fit to assimilate this work are mentioned in this shloka. Within quotes, one becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. The intelligent person with thoughtful discretion can be assured by the great sage Vyasadeva that he can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, without undergoing the different stages of realization set forth in the Vedas. One can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramahamsa simply by agreeing to receive this message. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyanta Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has elaborately explained about the necessity of religion, which we have discussed in the last class. Prabhupada says the human being's extra function in comparison to animals is that he has to have some form of religion. That's why Prabhupada says there are many religions in the human society. There is some form of religion for everybody. We see that. So we see in our practical experience, there are many religious paths, there are many rituals, many kinds of words to refer to God, and then there are many gurus, many categories of spiritual men, and sometimes it could be very overwhelming and confusing that why all these things are there if God is ultimately one. If God is one, then why all these things are so variegated? So this is naturally any intelligent person who is able to see practically, he will have this doubt. Okay, so Prabhupada is saying here that in the lower stages, there is always a competition for resources in this world. So there is a keen competition between person to person and state to state and community to community for acquiring these resources. And so that's when some of the people turn to religion. They see that in order to get all these resources for my welfare, for my enjoyment, I need blessings of God, and that's how they turn to God, and that's how the religions have come into force. Okay, now, why so many religions if God is one? Actually, 5,000 years ago, if you look at the scenario, historical scenario, from the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very clear that the entire planet was ruled by Kauravas and Pandavas. After the battle of Kurukshetra, it is the Pandavas, and before that Kauravas were ruling, and all the states of the world, they submitted to the emperor who is there in Hastinapura. Hastinapura means a pura where there are many Hastinas are there, elephants are there. Hastina means elephants. Huge number of elephants they used to maintain and manage, and that's how that place is called Hastinapura. Actually not easy to manage an elephant. We know if you have a small pet, how difficult to manage one pet. Now imagine so many elephants. So a very opulent kingdom, and Vedic culture was prevalent all over the world. The Vedic culture is prevalent. That's why if you see there is some excavations in various parts of the world, and sometimes suddenly they find some vigraha which they are not able to understand, but we know what that vigraha is. Like in some Ethiopia or somewhere they were doing some digging and suddenly they found one strange looking form, but actually he is Vinayaka. Like that we see many places when they're trying to understand the culture through excavations and archaeology, they're able to see that there is certain culture which was hidden now. Actually, that's a fact. 5,000 years ago, the whole planet was following one Vedic culture, and they used to follow the Vedic tradition of worshipping. There is one supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna or Narayana, and then there are many devatas, or they are known as, in English, demigods. God means full, demi is like a demi-size paper we say, no? It's a small paper, small one. They are gods, but they are less in power, less in opulences. That's why they are called demigods. So, Prabhupada is saying, Krishna, God is the total body and demigods are parts. There are only some parts in the total body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now, as the age progressed, in many parts of the world, the influence of Vedic culture has started coming down. It started waning as the age of Kali started progressing. So when a particular area, people were totally disconnected from the Vedic culture, they started developing their own culture, and the ideals of the Vedic culture completely vanished, and so people have become again barbarous in their behaviors and attitudes. So in order to restore some human nature, God sends some particular messenger in order to revive God consciousness in those areas. Like we understood, if the human being is disconnected from religion, he becomes like an animal. So that's why to protect those kind of people, there were attempts made by God to revive some religion there. So that's how in those areas Jesus has appeared in order to restore God consciousness. Actually, in their own scriptures and the culture, if you see, Jesus was missing for about 12 to 13 years. Actually, according to Bhavishya Puran, he has come to India and stayed in Jagannath Puri for many years, and he learnt the Vedic culture and the culture of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagawatam. And he went back to give about God consciousness there, and he could only preach for 3 years. After that he was crucified because those people could not take what he is saying. So when Jesus went there, he saw that people are not ready for taking the highest philosophy which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad. They are not ready. I am not saying this because I am following this. In Bible itself, Jesus says, I am not giving you everything because you cannot take it now. I have many more things to tell you, but you people are not ready. And then he gives only some basic commandments called 10 commandments. And if you analyze those commandments, you will understand what is the kind of culture in the people there. For example, one of the commandments says, don't steal the neighbor's wife. So now why did Jesus has to say this? Because the society was of that category. So Jesus has to go and say, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. Like that he has given some 10 principles. So, but whereas in Bhagavad Gita, if you see Krishna, in the 7th chapter he is explaining, Arjuna, now I am revealing it to you, the transcendental knowledge, after hearing which there is nothing else to learn. You will understand God realization in full. I am revealing it to you in full. Now you see. So, although at a macro level, all the religions accept that there is only one God. If you see any religion, the name of God may be different. Here we say Krishna. They may say Krishna, Christ, or some of those varieties, and some of them may say Allah, some of them say Buddha, but actually they are all referring to one supreme personality of Godhead. Macro level, all religions are targeting one particular God. Everybody will say to develop our relation with the God is the ultimate goal of human life. And they say, in order to reach God, chant holy names of God. In some of the religions they also say this. And they also say, one has to give up sinful activity in order to reach God. They have some rules and regulations. Although all these things are told, you see in practice there are different rituals. For example, we may be saying japa we are doing every day or every week. We'll be chanting. We are worshipping the form of the Lord, and then we have certain methodologies. But in some other religion, if you go, then you will see that they have a different types of rituals there. May not be matching at all of all this thing. But then why the rituals are differing if the God is one? As I said, the religion is revealed always according to the level of the humanity, according to the people who are there. For example, I may be a mathematics teacher, but let us say all my audience is small kids. Then what will I teach? I will teach 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, 2 plus 2, how much 2 plus 2? 4, like that, right? But let us say in front of me all 10th class students are there. Then I will say trigonometry, calculus and all those things I can say. But let us say somebody who is sitting in front of me as a degree person. Then I might talk about advanced mathematics. What is, I don't know what is. In this only there are many advanced topics are there. Like that, you will see, I am the same teacher, but I am teaching according to the audience. Actually, all the religions are evolved like this only, based on the time, place and circumstances. The religious principles are revealed. Although God is one, they say, they may not reveal the name. In some religions, they don't know the name of God. They only say God. They may only say Lord. God and Lord, these words are actually secondary names. They are not the primary names. If I say Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Revenue Minister, I am only referring to a secondary name. But if I say, Mr. Modi, Mr. Kesia, Mr. whatever, that I am referring to their primary names. But here the problem with the human here is that in all these positions are temporary. Now elections are going on, who will come back, nobody knows. So here is all temporary. But God is not like that. God's position, there is no rivalry. He is the supreme personality. There are no elections, no rivalry, no party, nothing. God means it is said that there is no sama, there is no equal, no abhyadika, there is no higher. This is the definition of God. We should understand that definition of God is is a supreme personality of God. Supreme means only one. There are no other processes to replace him, because all processes comes from him only. He is the one who has to decide everything. Okay, so coming back to, in many religions, only appropriate things are revealed. Okay, this community can accept only this much, chalo, only this much is revealed. In some of the religions, the form of the God is not revealed. That means how God looks is a big question. Is a very big question. In fact, the major religions in the world today, both the religions, they have no idea how God looks. There is one small kid, she was, she is on TV explaining about how she went into some kind of a trance, and she happened to go to the heaven. So everybody is listening, because they are all eager to understand, yes, how God looks. And then she says, I entered the heaven, and then I was slowly moving here and there. I saw one big asana, really big stage or big seat, and then on that the Almighty Lord is seated, and then I was trying to look at him. The trance ended, and then I came out of all this. So everybody has at least you tell us, what is his bodily color? What is the bodily color of God? So then that girl is saying, if I can recollect, it is blue. Blue means Shama. Shama Sundara means Krishna is actually what color? Actually bluish. Ramachandra is what color? You see, those paintings they do, they put all the bluish kind of a color. Actually, it is not really blue, it is called Shama. Shama is a Sanskrit word. There is no equivalent in this world what that color is. But it is bluish or blackish. Shastra says it's like a fresh cloud in the sky. That color. And the cloud sometimes looks bluish, very nice. So that's the kind of color. So, but how should I believe a small kid version? Because there is no revelation. But whereas in our literature, it is a Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gunaswarupam Govindam Mahadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. The original personality of Godhead is Govinda, and what is his color? Yam Shama Sundaram Achinta Gunaswarupam. Shama Sundara, although he is bluish or blackish, generally here in our society, if somebody is very black, he is not considered, he or she is not considered so much beautiful. But actually white means there is a craze. Right? Any foreign bodied person, immediately there is an attention to him. There is a white phenomena in this world. But actually Krishna is bluish or blackish, and M. Shama Sundara is extremely beautiful. How beautiful? Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. See, all the points are addressed in our culture. Kandarpa Koti. Now beauty, how will you explain how beautiful? So Shastra has a way of explaining how beautiful Krishna is. For example, it says, Kandarpa means, in Telugu, Manmadha, or a god of love. Actually, in this universe, it is said that the most beautiful person is in this universe. In the entire existence, it is Krishna. But in this universe, it's a Manmadha. So, he is supposed to be the god of love. And most beautiful personality. And here it is said that Krishna is Kandarpa Koti. You multiply Kandarpa's beauty into 1 crore. Koti will understand. Manmada, okay, some kind of an understand. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Chala Kamaniyenga ఉంటుంది కంటికి. In Telugu it is easy to explain actually. So very very attractive. Actually Krishna is so beautiful and opulent. He attracts everybody by his. That's why God's original nature is all attractive personality of God. All attractive. This all attractive word, if you put it in Sanskrit, it is Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. This is all. But if you see God as an almighty, supreme, very dictator kind of a person, and he sends everybody for their sins to eternal hell. If you do anything, if you do any mistake, then he will be condemned to eternal hell. In this religion, God is seen as a big dictator or a big micromanager. And for every small thing, he will be angry and then he will put you into hell or difficulty or whatever, or poverty or whatever, so people fear. So some religions, if you see, they are based out of fear. See, look, there is an almighty Lord and he is going to throw you into hell. Everybody, but everybody commits some mistakes. We all have some weaknesses. And then, so when the religions talks about fear, and then they feel, oh my God, I have to come out of all these things. And so they accept God in that way. But here the problem is, God as a big dictator or as a tyrannical person and all-powerful judge is like a judge. That's only a very tiny aspect of God's function. Yes, God judges, but he is not like a cruel dictator. Look at our God, how the God is depicted. He is a loving personality, full of compassion, full of mercy. So this is the understanding that is revealed here. But that understanding is not revealed in some areas of places. There they have revealed only the fear angle. So they fear God, and out of fear they do everything very nicely. But in Sanatana Dharma, fear is not the primary motive. Here, love is the primary motive. We genuinely get attracted to God. Oh, Lord looks so nice. Let me go and have darshan of Balaji. Let me go and have darshan of Ramachandra and Bhadrachalam. This and that. And then out of genuine attraction, the devotee goes again and again and then worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, actually I think I mentioned also once one person, he told me, Swamiji, actually my parents are someone, they took up Christianity long ago, and then now he is a second generation, I think, and he is a doctor, an MBBS doctor. So once I happened to give him one magazine, our own magazine, and then he took the magazine, and then next time when he met me, he said, Swamiji, I went through your magazine. Actually, we have Telugu magazine those days. So I gave Telugu. But this person is a Keralite. So he said, actually I could not read much, but I read your mantra, that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is there. Some few times I was repeating Swamiji, I'm feeling nice, that he said. I said, oh, very good. You're fortunate, I told him. And then he said, Swamiji, I also feel what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that looks more logical. I said, tell me what is that your... he says, in our religion, there is a lot of fear about God. And one of the biggest fears is, if we do any mistakes, at the end of this life, we will be sent to eternal hell. See, there are two words here, eternal and hell. Right? Eternal means permanent. You have no other option. At the end of this life, either go to hell or go to heaven. Eternal means that is. Hell means a place where horrible punishments were given. For example, one of the punishments that they describe is there will be a boiling oil in one of the big kadai. We have kadai, no? We do fry bhajis and all, we do no small kadai. There are big kadais are there, and you will be thrown into that at the end of this life. Then I was listening. Then he is saying, I have one question, Swamiji. Yes, please tell me. If God is all merciful, because they also say God is all merciful. If God is all merciful and we are all His sons, okay, even if I did some mistakes, will any father throw his son into such a kadai, boiling oil? He asked me. I said, what you are saying is logical. No father will ever do it. Will any father do? Let us say you want to punish your child. Punishment will be a temporary punishment. It will never be an eternal thing. It's not that you are going to tie him with the chains and continuously beat. No. I said, yeah, it makes sense. And then one more question, interesting question you asked. Swamiji, in hell also looks like there will be days and nights. I said, yes. Then tell me, if somebody is thrown into that boiling oil, day and night simply boiling and boiling and boiling. Next day also boiling and boiling and boiling. You tell me, what is the purpose of God in this? Is there no reformation? Let us, after 3 days of boiling, let us say, I got reformed. Makes sense, okay. At least you can come out of it. But it is eternal. Eternal means there is no other this thing. Only boiling day after day. What is the purpose? I said, even I don't know. There is no such purpose. Actually, Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna gives his children as many opportunities they want. If they want one more life, okay. How is that? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajati ante kalevaram. Krishna explains that as one thinks at the last moment, he will get the same life in the next life. Let us say I am thinking that I want to become, because in election time, I want to become chief minister. I am thinking, I am praying, I am doing homas, yajnas, everything. And actually all politicians privately, they do a lot of homas now. In fact, some of temples like us, we get invitations. Swamiji, please do 1 month, all kinds of pujas. Let us say somebody is very fervently praying that, my Lord, I want to be the chief minister, or I want to be the minister in this life. Now let us say he has not become. Now, do you mean to say all his prayers, all his homas and yajnas, they are gone into vain? No. God is going to give him the chance. But somehow, currently, that chance is not available and is already his time is up. So what happens is, when he dies, next life, he will get one more body. That body will be more capable, more able, and then probably he can articulate well, command respect, mobilize crowds, and then he will be able to rise to the position of, say, CM or minister or whatever. Actually, none of their prayers will go in vain. If not this life, at least one more life. That means God recognizes his desire. Oh, he wants to be a chief minister's experience, so he has to be given. So Krishna gives, okay, child, take. Actually, in our experience also we have seen, India got one prime minister from Karnataka. You know what is his name? Gaura. Nobody expected that he will go and sit in that seat. Did anybody? Nobody. Actually, nobody knows him. Except in Karnataka, nobody knows him. Suddenly he went and sat there in the Prime Minister's seat. How he sat down? There's so many people are there, able, more capable. But that particular time has come where he has to get that experience. Tuck, he will be made to sit there. See, this is God's arrangement. So, Krishna is explaining in Bhagavad Gita that this world is a learning ground for the children. For all of us, it's a learning ground. As you develop your attachment to God, as you develop your services to God, then we go on advancing. And then there will be a stage where a devotee cannot live without Krishna, without God's presence. When it comes to that level, then he will say, my Lord, I want to be in your service with you always. I don't want to be, a prime minister or a chief minister in this temporary world. That experience will come and go, but my experience with you, that will remain permanent. And so I want that experience. As long as a devotee, a person doesn't desire God like that, he will continuously get opportunities. Let us say he has a desire to become something, achieve something, he continuously gets. But here one danger is there. If somebody, in order to achieve that post, let us say he breaks all rules. See, in this world, there are certain rules are there. Why these rules are there? For the proper coexistence of all the living entities. We all have to survive now together. For example, in a community is there, we have certain rules. Yes or no? They will say, for example, outsiders like us, let us say we want to come to your community. Outside there will be security. You will say, no, you have to have some appointment and only we will live like that. Why is that? Because some peaceful coexistence of the community and also with outsiders, how to have some system. In this world, such things exist. But let us say, out of his desire to achieve such position, let us say he commits a lot of, he breaks these rules and regulations, then that is called sin and he will get punishment. In the next life, he may degrade. And it is said that in the Shastra, one may not even get the life of a human being. This human being, human form of life, it is not a permanent thing. In the next life, this human form may not come. It depends on, how he is carefully following the injunction. That's why religion is required. Religion will say, don't break this, don't break this, don't do this. For example, don't covet others' money. Don't take away others' wife or money, whatever. These are all basic injunctions that every Shastra says. And so, if somebody violates, for example, now war is going on. See, I am not saying who is correct, but I am saying what is wrong. What is wrong is the death of, the attack on innocent civilians on both the sides. On both the sides. Innocent civilians like women, children, old people, they have nothing to do with these big wars and big things and weapons and missiles and all those things. They are, they are living their own life. Poor guys. Suddenly they are seeing everything is coming onto them. So this attack on poor civilians, very dangerous. And according to the God's law, there is a big punishment waiting for them. So this is the problem in this world. that there are many laws are there meant for coexistence of every living entity, not only humans, every living entity. For example, human beings have interfered with the other living entities, and suddenly we all have to face the biggest pandemic called COVID. COVID is very clear because they have tampered with the nature's workings. They either artificially made it in the lab, or we don't know. Some of they say food habits also can cause. So now, see, some of the rules and regulations, if they are violated, yes, then there is a punishment. Then, Swamiji, then you mean to say there is a hell? Actually, there is a hell and there is a heaven. And then, according to Bhagavatam, there are descriptions in Bhagavatam about what happens in hell. That is there in the 5th canto. Parikshit Maharaj is listening to all this description. At the end of all these things, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami, I am very, very saddened to see that living entities have to go through such hellish experiences. Oh Shukadeva Goswami, can you please tell me how they can be delivered from those hellish conditions? This is how the questions are in Bhagavatam. Okay, coming back to, according to Bhagavatam, the hellish experience is not eternal. There will be some punishment, and again, at the end of the punishment, again he'll come back to this world as either a human being or as an animal. Actually, according to our time scale, even if somebody goes to hell and comes back, a few minutes delay. He would have gone to the hell, came back, in the next few minutes he will get next body. But let us say he is a pious person. Instantly he will get the next body. This body is over, he will move to the next body automatically. But let us say somebody has to experience the hell and then come back, maybe a few minutes delay. That's all. This is what Shastra says. Basically, there will be some punishment for the reformation of the jiva, and then he comes back again and he has to continue his education. This is a learning ground. So here Vyasamuni is saying, what else to learn if you have Srimad Bhagavatam with you? For example, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute, who has written the Srimad Bhagavatam? Mahamuni, that is Vyasamuni. We have to remember, all the Vedic literatures are compiled by one great sage by name Vyasadeva or Vyasamuni. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, Vyasamuni himself is an incarnation of Narayana. He is called literary incarnation. The volume of things that Vyasamuni compiled is unprecedented in the human history. Unprecedented. For example, this Bhagavatam, can you believe how many slokas? Any idea? In this Bhagavatam, there are 18,000 slokas are there. 18,000. How many are there in Bhagavad Gita? Just 700. This is 18,000. That many slokas he has written to describe. And Mahabharata also compiled by Vyasamuni. And how many slokas are there in Mahabharata? 1 lakh. This is 18,000. 1 lakh verses. There are some Puranas where more than 1 lakh are there. That this much voluminous compilation about God, and that too in such an interesting language called Sanskrit, this has shaken everybody. Initially everybody thought, oh, what is this culture here? They're all uncivilized, this and that. But when they saw these literary works, actually you have to assess the culture of any society by the literary works that they have produced. Now look at the literary works that Vyasamuni has produced. Unimaginable for anybody. Even today, nobody can write anything close to this, describing particularly about God. So that is the beauty of this. That's why it is saying, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kim va parai Ishvaraha. What else is required? All the complete details are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Once that is available, what is the need for any other literature? And then, if I read this, then what will happen? Bhagavatam, it is saying, Sadhyo Hrudi Avarudhyate. Immediately in the heart, the Lord is established. This is the beauty of Bhagavatam. As soon as we study this Bhagavatam, Krishna becomes an irrevocable fact in the heart. He gets established in the heart. The devotee carries the Lord if he reads Bhagavatam every single day. Atra kritabihi shushrushabhi takshanat. Now the question is, how should I read Bhagavatam? Shushrushabhi. Very eagerly, submissively, one should listen to, patiently, one should listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and its concepts. It is assured that one will attain Krishna without any fail. Okay, so we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions before I move? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Firstly, I think religion itself is a difficult topic to understand in this time world because of many religions and all those things.
Yeah.
Firstly, thank you for giving a lot of understanding. But if I take current situation in the world, there are many religions. There are quarrels, there are chaos, everything. And then lots of good thing is it has become political sometimes.
Yeah, correct.
Because even if you see a few months before, the popular minister in Tamil Nadu said that we need to eradicate Sanatana. So when we hear such kind of things, there will be some fear what will happen to our culture. Because I have also seen since my childhood, other religions have scaled up.
Yes.
Even my home, wherever.
Yeah.
So all this play in my mind.
Yeah.
So how can we take this?
Yeah.
So that is the first one.
Yeah. See, it will always be a fact in this world that we have to coexist with many religions. So, as I said, they are also worshipping my Lord only. Their Lord and my Lord is the same Lord, same God. But they have their own, traditions of worshipping Him. So, in our mind, don't develop any hatred or any envy towards their process of reaching God or their culture of worshipping God. We have nothing to worry. Okay, let them practice. Now, coming to the problem of these quarrels, unfortunately, what happened is, in some of the religions, in fact, I have seen their texts also, in some of their texts, their books. It is mentioned that anybody who doesn't accept the religious path that they are following, they are called, some names are there, like they are considered atheists, and there are injunctions of cutting their hands and fingers and this and that. No, we don't want to comment on how such texts have come into those books. It is not from God. And so the point is, unfortunately, the religious systems are being used for political and gaining power. Political powers and also to gain wealth. A lot of wealth and power is involved in most of these religions. So, while we see the sincere people following and trying to reach their God, they think their God is different from our God and our God is different from that. There is some ignorance is there. So, when we see that the religion is being misused for such political and money purposes, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. We don't envy. We don't, minimize or do whatever. We know if they sincerely do something, some progress is there. We understand. We don't envy or we don't create trouble for anybody. Because our Shastra is saying, Dharma prochita kaitava atra paramo nirmasaranam satam. Our religion is meant for nirmasara. Nirmasara means no envy. We don't envy anybody. Oh, either they are, different from us, or they may be growing, or they may be having this, they may be having that. We don't try to develop any ill feelings towards them. And we know that they are trying to reach the same God that I am. Let us say in the mic you hear some other religious people playing something. In the mind you just think they are also worshipping Krishna, but in a different way. They are also offering prayers to the same Almighty Lord in their own way, and that's fine. But the problem is it doesn't stop there. Now they think we are all somebody to be. Practically what we have to do is, while we don't develop enmity, if somebody becomes inimical towards us just because of our practices, we should be careful. We should try to protect ourselves. So we should not cause any inimical feelings in them. We will go on their own, but at the same time we keep an eye. If somebody is trying to create some trouble to us, then we wanted to take care of ourselves. And unfortunately what happened, as you said, most of the people, most of the politicians and all that, they use religion for their own purposes. I won't say politicians are alone. There are many groups they take advantage. There are some corporates, they fund certain religions because they know when those religions increase, their businesses will grow. In Andhra, there was a research done. One particular religion has grown nicely, and the liquor businesses and many other businesses have gone up. So obviously those corporates have an interest in funding all those religious propaganda. What Bhagavatam is saying is, you approach God just out of love. That's all, no other motivation. You love that personality. You love that qualities of that person. God as a person, what a wonderful qualities he is. He is so kind, he is so wonderful, he is so nice. Why can't I love such a perfect personality? And I anyway have relationship with him. So God is waiting for us. And then in the name of God only, everybody is fighting and not going to him. He is waiting. What is happening? I gave this religion so that they can come to me, but they are using the religion to fight with each other. This is not God's purpose. Please understand. Krishna doesn't like. Then you may say, no, wars are always there. Even Krishna participated in Kurukshetra war. Why is that? Only when Krishna participates like that, that war is approved. Other than that, you cannot say, God wants this war. No. Particularly in this age of Kali Yuga, the God's decision is that the religion should only advocate love of God. That's all. There's no question of war and violence. For example, you will never see, in some religions, they will say, if you don't, you accept this or not. If you don't accept, but Bhagavatam doesn't say any of those things. Krishna, he explains Bhagavad Gita. In the end, he says, Arjuna, now I have told you everything that I have to tell you. Now, you take a decision. Can you believe this? In Bhagavad Gita, God is saying, Arjuna, if you don't accept, now I'm going to throw you into it. This, he doesn't say. He says, now I have explained everything to you, now it's up to you. Tell me now what is your decision. So it's very important that the individuality of the each and every person is respected in Sanatana Dharma. Individuality. That's why in our culture, even if somebody worships God in a different way or in some other way, we don't become any panicky. Based on just those rituals, nobody will fight with each other. Right? For example, in our own community, we may worship Krishna this side, we may worship, say, Ganesha that side, we may worship Shiva that side, or we may have many other kinds of program. It's not that we are going to beat each other or kill each other in the name of those, those things. Yes, there are differences in these worships. There are differences in all these things, but a devotee understands where it stands. He understands that those particular rituals are given for a set of people, a person's caliber. For example, first standard, if I go and tell him trigonometry and calculus, it becomes an indigestion for that boy. There is a stage he will come to. So, we know what is the truth. We wait for them to come to that highest truth. And we don't say you have to convert and this and that, nothing. You come to the stage of God, of loving Him. By what route you have come, it's okay, we don't mind. You have to come to the stage of loving God. See, this is the philosophy of Bhagavatam. By your rituals, if you can come to that level of loving God, then yours is a number one religion. But unfortunately, we are seeing, instead of coming to loving God, they are coming to hating people, hating others, and fighting with each other. And just to conclude this one point, I will tell you. In this entire world, let us say, I hate only one person. Everybody else I love. But only one person I hate. Then we have to continue in this world for some more time. God will not allow us to come back to Him. That means even if I hate just one person, I have no salvation. Moksha is not possible even if I hate just one person or one animal. Many people are against cow, or many people are against pig, or any this and that, and all so many things. But actually, even if I hate just one animal, I have to stay back here to address that issue. Now I have to understand how to respect that animal. Then my education is complete. Then I will get the moksha or salvation. This is the. Now imagine how much hatred it is going on in the name of religion. Now you think they will develop any law? Impossible. So we should be very careful. We should not create any agitation in our minds. We respect, okay, they are also worshipping God, let them go on. But they should not come to me for harming me. that care we have to take care. We have to keep an eye on what's happening. That's why we also read the regular newspapers and all that. We see what is happening. If there is any war in our city, first thing that we have to do is to take care of our temples. So that much. It's not that we will go against anybody to do any destruction now. No, not required. If they grow, if they become good gentlemen, good citizens, free from envy and then hatred in their hearts, they are very happy. As soon as hatred is not there won't be any crimes, there won't be any other things. Okay? So by chanting, we develop that nirmasarana, no hatred in our hearts. So this is the highest religion which we got it through Vyasa Muni. Yes. Yeah.
So, I know there are, in a particular region, there are many religious practices. Like now we do meditation, we do yoga, anything. So I just want to understand what is the best practical maybe this Kaliga. What should be the best form of worship?
Yeah. Actually, many worships we see there is a homa or sacrifice, and there is meditation, and there is also temple worship deity, Vigraha Aradhana, all these forms are bona fide. They are all bona fide. That means God receives all these kinds of this thing. But in Kali Yuga, there is a specific limitation we all have. What are those limitations? For example, when we sit for doing, say, meditation. What is meditation? Anybody has experience of meditation? Okay. What is the primary challenge you get in meditation? Lot of thoughts and mind is going here and there, no? And that's exactly the point. We are sitting to do meditation for what? Peace of mind. Some concentration. But actually mind is going here, there, and this is one issue. So that's why Shastra is saying, in this age, controlling mind is not possible. Controlling mind is not possible. Then what can you control then? So our process is saying, start with controlling tongue. Very interesting, no? In Krishna consciousness we say, don't control mind and all, we will not talk. We say, you control the tongue. Just by controlling tongue you will reach God? Yes. Very interesting. So, how is this control of the tongue? Tongue has two functions. One is to eat, one more is to produce sound. So that's why we say, chant Hare Krishna, tongue has to be engaged. This mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is not for mind. Why? Mind cannot be controlled. Mind is disturbed. In a disturbed mind, again how you can think of one more mantra? Not possible. So that's why what Shastra says in this world, Jivha means tongue. Using tongue, we should just produce this sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this is called mantra meditation. Ordinary meditation is done in the mind. Mantra meditation is done through the tongue. You have to vibrate the tongue and then hear. Mind is not involved. Your mind is focused on producing mantra after mantra after mantra. That's all. The secret of mantra meditation is when you are chanting, this mantra has to be chanted one after another, immediately. For example, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. You understood? Don't give any gap between mantra to mantra. You have to pile up mantras. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that you're counting. Mantra after mantra after mantra. Mind should not be allowed to go to any other thought. That is the secret here. There is no mind. So now coming to Homa. Homa means there is a Homa Kunda, then there is a fire, and then you have to pour various ingredients for the satisfaction of the Almighty. Actually, it is said that the fire has to be created by uttering a mantra. But currently, such powerful brahmanas who can create the fire by just chanting mantra, they are not available. There is one more way. There is something called arani wood. So you have to take an arani wood and then rotate like this. Basically, produce a friction between two arani wood pieces. Then comes fire. That fire has to be used for lighting the homa. So there are nobody who can do any of these things. Then mantra chanting. While doing homa, the mantras have to be pronounced very carefully. Because in the beginning of the homa, they do what is known as sankalpa. The Yajman will tell sankalpa. At the end of this homa, I want this to be done. And so all the brahmanas, they have to chant the mantras in certain rhythm, certain pace, and then produce all these fires and everything naturally. And then they have to pour all the ingredients. Ingredients have to be pure. For example, ghee. The ghee has to be a pure cow ghee. Now, nowadays, pure cow ghee is not possible. If at all it is available per kg, 10,000 rupees, 11,000 rupees. Our ghee which we purchase for kg 500 rupees, that has its own limitations. Real cow ghee is very costly nowadays. So, not possible for many people. Now, there is one more danger. If the mantra is pronounced differently, ultimate result will come differently. There is one history in Bhagavatam. One person wanted to have, one child, and then he does homa, and then the pujari, the brahmanas, they pronounced some mantras wrongly. Instead of a child, he got one big demon appeared in front of the homa. Now he has to deal with two problems. One is no child, and one demon. Demon has come here. So that's why in Kali Yuga it is mentioned that these homas are not practical for most of the people. Some of us we can afford. And then you may say, no, in Hare Krishna also we are seeing some homas are conducted. Actually here we conduct homa and we don't chant Vedic mantras, we chant God's names. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. And whatever ingredients are available, my Lord, we are offering to you. Please excuse us and then we will do the homa. So that's the thing. So that's why many of these procedures are there, but we will not be able to achieve the perfection in that. So the only thing that is recommended is this mantra meditation. Chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.